Welcome to the road to greatness. Get ready to be inspired and empowered to take your career to the next level. Let's talk about it. Before we get into the next example of greatness, I want to invite you to join this pro tip partner community, which is designed to help ambitious, ever-evolving professionals like yourself find a new pro tip, habit, or mindset that helps take your performance to the next level. So here's what I'd love for you to do. First, click subscribe or follow, and then share this episode with anyone who you think needs a little boost. And you can keep the conversation going by following us on social media at Carlyn, Karlyn, RTG podcast. I'd love to hear your comments, questions, and if you try anything from my guests, let me know. So welcome back to the Road to Greatness. I'm Carlyn Kiefer, your host, and I have to say I am beyond excited to have this week's guest, none other than Jackie Callan. She is the first woman of boxing. If you don't know her, if you don't know about her, Google her. And where have you been? So Jackie was recently inducted to the International Boxing Hall of Fame, long overdue. She is someone I look up to. She is someone that I will also credit to say she has helped me kick my fear and stretch myself and reach new heights. So I'm hoping she will do the same for all of you. And so without further ado, Jackie, welcome. Congratulations on your induction. And I am so excited to talk to you today.
Thank you. And I feel the same way. I think it's going to be a very productive conversation and inspiring, I hope.
Absolutely. It can't, I mean, how can it not be? I mean, you're you, for crying out loud. So first, very quickly, I called you the first woman of boxing, and first lady, excuse me, of boxing, which is also how you credit yourself. Tell everyone just your amazing story of being the first woman managing boxers in professional boxing.
Well, it kind of came about accidentally. It wasn't a deliberate plan. I didn't grow up saying, when I get older, I'm going to manage fighters. You know, that was not even a thought in my mind. But I was a journalist and mostly covering celebrities. I was going to be Barbara Walters, you know, the next Barbara Walters. So I started my career interviewing Elvis and Sinatra and Michael Jackson and presidents and sports stars and TV stars and music giants like Elton John and Freddie Mercury and the Rolling Stones and people like that.
So basically you were just kind of playing it small.
Yeah, no, I always aimed big because
absolutely
that's one of the secrets to success is to aim big. Because even if you don't reach your goal, if you even get close to your goal, you're going to be high up there. So I've always shot for the stars and landed pretty close to where I wanted to be. And I would say it was about the mid 70s. One of our sports writers called in sick and they asked me if I would kind of pinch hit, and definitely pun intended because it was a baseball player. And they said, can you go get this interview? This baseball player doesn't really talk to anybody, and we're having a really tough time getting an interview. Maybe if you go, he'll talk to you. So I was younger, a lot younger then. And I waited outside. And when he came out, I approached him and I told him I was there to get an interview. And he was so kind and so lovely to me. And he gave me a beautiful, long interview. And my paper was so excited and really proud that I was able to get what the guys couldn't get. They said, well, maybe we're going to keep you on doing sports as well as entertainment, because maybe sports from a woman's view is an interesting angle. And at the time, there were no women in the locker rooms. I mean,
right.
I was pretty much the Lone Ranger. I mean, we're talking almost 50 years ago, so it's half a century ago. And it was interesting at first because the athletes didn't know what to make of this woman in their midst, and the other sports writers, they didn't know whether to accept me and say, come on in, or like, you don't belong in here. So it was tricky at first. But after about 3 years of doing sports as well as entertainment, I was sent to interview a young boxer. And it changed my life because I fell in love with the sport. I mean, who knew? I had never been to a live boxing match. I wasn't a fan. I knew Muhammad Ali, obviously, and Joe Louis because he was from Detroit, but I wasn't really what you'd call a boxing aficionado at all. I knew nothing about it. But the sport captivated me. And people have often said, well, what was it about boxing? And I really don't know. I think it was the mano a mano, the man on, man to man.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't a team sport. You couldn't rely on a teammate. It was just you against your opponent. And I found that fascinating. And then, the contact aspect of it, you could get hurt. And yet these guys at the end of the fight would hug each other like they were best friends. And I went, you just tried to take his head off, and now you're
And you're
hugging.
hugging. That part I will never understand, by the
I
way.
just thought, how do you flip that switch? And so I was pretty interested and fascinated in the sport. And there was a local trainer manager here in Detroit named Emmanuel Stewart who ran a gym here. And it was a young gym, no one heard about it. And he said, maybe you'd like to come on board as our publicist and help us get some publicity for the gym, raise some money, get some awareness of the fighters that we have training here. I said, I'd love to do that, of course. And I did that for 10 years. And it was a real eye-opening experience because I learned the sport really from the ground up. I learned how to wrap hands. I learned how to pick opponents. I learned how to stop cuts if someone was cut during a fight. I learned all the little tricks of the trade in 10 years. It was like a college education.
Mhm.
And at a certain point after 10 years, I thought I could do this. I could find a young talent and I could maybe take him all the way to a title. And of course, I was laughed at. At that time, it was like women don't manage fighters, men manage fighters. It's a man's world, it's a man's sport. And I just said, why?
Right.
Why can't a woman do it?
So you
And
get
I had
out
no
there and do
fear.
it.
I had no fear of rejection. I knew there'd be some pushback. I wasn't afraid to fail because failure is a big part of life. Sometimes you get knocked down, just like boxing itself. You can lose a round, you can come back and win the fight, even if you've been knocked down 3, 4 times. So I just thought, let's just see where this journey takes me.
So this is the part that and I know you've heard of the concept of imposter syndrome. You've heard the concept of people talking themselves out of things out of fear of rejection or wondering, well, if I'm first and what are other people going to think and this, that, and the other. And you've just said, you're not afraid. You just go out and do it. What's the worst that can happen? What do you tell other people who do stop themselves, who do stop a little bit short? They go out and try, but they're not giving it 1,000% because their risk threshold isn't that high.
Well, I think that's a great point you're bringing up because people are the only ones that can sabotage your plan. You can ruin your own plan. I don't think anyone else could have ruined my plan or ever will ruin my plan because I'm in charge of my own life. We're the captain of our own ship. And if I'm going to hit an iceberg, it's up to me to steer away and save my ship from sinking. I can't rely on other people, and nor can you let other people deter you. I learned a long time ago when I was very young not to care what anyone else thinks. You can't pay your bills with someone else's opinions or thoughts, so they're really not very valuable. In the big picture, it really doesn't matter. You have to know yourself, know your own capabilities, your own strengths, and certainly your own weaknesses, because we all have them, and just walk your own path. I never looked to the left to see who is there to sabotage me. I never looked to the right to see, who is there to shoot me down, whatever. I just kept moving forward, one foot in front of the other. And I think that's a big part of it is self-belief, that confidence of saying, I can instead of can I? You don't ask, can you do something? You tell yourself, yes, I can. And then it becomes a self-fulfilled prophecy because if you believe it, you can achieve it. And all the little cliches and the metaphors and the things that you're taught, they really are true. And I think I displayed that even as a kid because my mom would tell me that, if all the kids were wearing a certain style or had their hair cut a certain way, I didn't want it. Instead of saying, "Mom, all the kids are wearing that," I would say, "I don't want that because all the kids are wearing it and I don't want to look like I'm copying them." So I always wanted to stand out rather than to fit in. I thought there was something a little more special about kind of forging your own path rather than walking down a road that everyone already, they wore that path out.
Hmm. Yeah, there's that the phrase, why are you trying so hard to fit in when you were born to stand out? I think that's
Exactly.
fantastic, right?
Yes, that's perfect. Right.
Yeah. And I've said for a long time, conformity breeds mediocrity. If you're trying to conform to everything else, how can you be innovative? How can you be daring? How can you stand out and do all the things? So, I love that that was something that you got or that you developed, that sense was something that you developed as a young person. Where did that come from? What did you have to do self-talk, or was it just your parents set up an environment where, you were encouraged to just do you and all that that means?
Well, for me, I wasn't a very talented little girl. All the girls in my class were into dance and they were singing in the choir and they were in the school plays. So they were, talented that way. And I wasn't. I couldn't carry a tune. I wasn't very coordinated and I was a little awkward as a kid. And then they were all into sports and no one ever picked me on a team because I was terrible and I don't blame them. I would have been the last person I would have picked also. I mean, I just didn't seem to fit in anywhere. And then when I was about 9 or maybe 10, my mother put me into a creative writing class because that was something I really loved. I used to write stories and essays and I journaled as a young girl. And that became my niche. Once I found out that I could write and that I could express myself through the written word, I thought, well, that's what I am. I'm a communicator. I'm able to express myself very much verbally. I was never shy and through the written word. So I started writing and I wrote every day about anything and anyone. And what really turned it around for me was when I was 13, they had a contest to win a date with Ricky Nelson, who was a TV personality back in the 60s. And, he was just part of the Ozzie and Harriet Nelson family on TV.
Right.
And I wrote an essay why I wanted a date with him, and I won. And of
Oh,
course, the
wow.
date wasn't really a date. Trust me, I was very awkward 13-year-old. He was this handsome 16-year-old movie star, TV star. But the good part of it was that during the whole time I was with him, I was very engaged and I asked him a million questions. I wanted to know all about Hollywood, all about TV, all about his life, all about the friends that he had. And I was just so into our conversation. And at the end, he said, you are fearless. You're not intimidated by me. Most people that meet me, being that he was a recording artist and a TV star, he said they're a little bit nervous or, they're a little shy. He said, but you talk to me like I live next door to you. And he said, you should be a reporter. He said, you definitely are great at communicating. That was it. Thanks to Ricky Nelson, I became a reporter. Went to write for my school paper in high school, never stopped. I just kept interviewing celebrities and finding ways to be with the Beatles when they came to town, to be with the Rolling Stones, to invite them to my house for dinner, to find ways to get stories that other writers couldn't get. And that's how I got started. And journalism opened up so many doors for me and I found friendships that I still have to this day. A lot of the people I interviewed back in the day, the Paul Ankas and the Frankie Valleys and the Andrew Dice Clays and the singers and the actors, I still stay in touch with a lot of them 50, 40 years later. So it was a good career choice.
Wow. I mean, I'm just sitting with my jaw on the floor going, all those people, all those names. Um, It's exciting. And during the time that I started my career in television, did about 5 years of it, but I did not have and I interviewed some celebrities, but not the A-list that you have rattled off here today. Um, and certainly if I were to meet any of them, I would just be another, human on the street. I certainly wouldn't be able to say, "Oh yeah, they came over for dinner."
But you know what? It's a sense of engagement. It's putting yourself out there and saying, "Hey, I'm just like you. You're not any better than me because you have a different job. I'm not any better than you because I'm in the media and I'm here to help you publicize your movie or your album or whatever. We're just people. We have different jobs and we're here. You're here to help me get a good story, and I'm here to publicize whatever it is that you might be wanting to publicize. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship. But I never met a celebrity, including presidents, including Elvis or Michael Jackson, any of the people I've named so far, Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, any of the people that I rub shoulders with, I never felt uncomfortable or never felt any kind of an imbalance or any difference. We're just all God's children. We're all people. And, I think because of that, we go back to that word fearless. And when you approach somebody as an equal, whether it's someone parking your car, waiting on your table, or the owner of the building you're in, or whatever, we're all the same. And if you treat everybody the same, I found a real equalizer was just to say, "How's your day going? Do you have any kids? How old are your kids?" I have two, you know, and common ground immediately opens somebody up to communicating with you. I never would start out right about, "Tell me about your new movie," or "Tell me about your new album." I would always start out with something personal, like, "Oh, I heard that you just got married recently. How fantastic. Congratulations. How'd you guys meet?" So I would come up with something that was more humanizing than just the business at hand. And then we kind of would be more like on a friendship basis. And I'd say, "Oh, yeah, you just got married. You know what? I just got divorced. What a coincidence." Whatever the subject might be, there's always something in common that you can have with whoever you meet. And I'm just an inquisitive kind of person. I love to know about other people. So I can walk into a room full of strangers, and within 5 minutes, I'll know whoever I want to know in that room. And I have people that have told me that, they're uncomfortable in a social situation. They'll walk in a room and say, "Oh, I wonder if they're going to like me. I wonder if it." I go into the room thinking, "Who am I going to meet tonight? And am I going to like them? And am I going to make a new friend? Someone that I'm going to continue to see." I look at every opportunity as an adventure. I'm going to meet someone tonight, or I'm going to get an opportunity to do something different. And I approach everything with excitement. And again, that fearlessness. What is the worst that can happen in any situation? That you might fail? You might ask somebody for something and they'll say no.
No, right?
What? Then you just keep moving forward and ask the next person.
Yeah.
A no isn't the end of the world, and a failure isn't the end of the world. There's a lesson. There's a
Yeah.
lesson in everything if you look for it.
There's
And
so many things in what you've just said. So I want to go back and dig on a couple of them. Number one, on something you just said in terms of treating everyone the same and making sure, or actually the second piece, which is treat every outing as a who am I going to meet? I actually, in some of my work, working and teaching networking skills, how to just actually create those relationships when you get into those rooms. Um, for people who are severe, painful introverts and people who really are grossly uncomfortable in that, I always give them a game to play. So, find three people, meet three people that you have something in common with, and meet three people where you can say, "Oh gosh, we are so different." They can be nice, not nice. You can like them, not like them, but I want three similar, three different. Are there games you had to play to get yourself to be able to work the room, so to speak? Or is that it's just in your DNA to do that?
I think it's something that's an innate ability to communicate with people. It's about having that confidence. And there's a difference between being cocky and arrogant and just being confident in who you
Absolutely.
are. And you have to be really careful never to go over that line, because once you appear to be cocky or you appear to be um, all about yourself, people back away. They don't warm up to you. But if you appear to be open and welcoming, and you might be shy on the inside, but one of my mottos has always been, never let them see you sweat. Never give away what you're thinking or feeling. Always present yourself in a very comfortable and confident way, because people believe whatever they perceive. What they see is what they believe. So how you project yourself is exactly how people are going to, perceive you. So I always walk into a room like I'm happy to be there, and I look to see, who do I know? If I don't know anyone, who do I want to know? And there's a game I do play, and that's the breakdown game. And I try to break people down. So, in other words, if I see someone that's very rigid and not talking to anybody and has that kind of resting, mean face, that's the one I'll go up to and try to break them down and make them smile and say, "Oh, I love that outfit you're wearing." And, sometimes it takes a few passes. The first time they don't respond. So you got to go at them again from a different angle, a different approach. But if I have a waitress or a wait person that's being very surly or curt or not very, accommodating and warm, I'll say, "Oh, you must be having a bad day. I know yesterday it was my bad day. Yesterday. But are you okay? Is there anything bothering you today or whatever?" And I'll try to engage them so that they'll open up a little bit. And maybe they are having a bad day. Maybe they had a fight with their spouse, or
Right.
they lost money at the casino. Then, I mean, a million things. But when you engage with someone and show an interest in them, a lot of times you can break them down. And so I like that game of trying to take a person that's very introverted and open them up. It's a challenge. And that's one of the games that I like to play, is to find that one person that no one's talking to, that seems totally out of the whole scene, and I bring them in and open them up. Because sometimes what you get when you open that person up is so wonderful, and you
Yeah.
never would have known that if you just kept walking.
Totally true. And I'm sure that that also in their mind makes you infinitely more memorable. That was the person who made me not feel like I want to run out of here. That was the person who made me feel comfortable. And hey, I even stayed and worked the room a little bit more, or met a couple of other people, or other people came over to talk to both of us, and that sort of a thing. So
I think
it's
that's
it's a
important.
win-win.
It is a win-win, because the person that's the life of the party talking to everybody, they don't really need you as much. But the little wallflower that's standing by themselves and afraid to engage, that's the person that needs you to go over there and kind of open them up. And for me, that's a challenge that I love.
So
But that's
much
just
of
one of my little games.
which I appreciate, and that fits into the treat everybody the same, and I'm never above or below, right? I work with a lot of salespeople, and one of the things that I know when people are interviewing to be salespeople, their managers or the hiring manager oftentimes will take them to a restaurant to see how they behave, and frankly, it's not just in sales; it could be in other industry or other roles. Um, but they take them out to eat and see, how do you treat the server when the order comes back wrong? How do you treat the server when service is slower? How do you treat the people who work there who can do nothing for you? Are you kind, or are you treating them as less than? And I love
Oh,
the fact that you're
never.
like, oh no, we just need to do it all for everybody the same.
I have great examples of that too. Many, many years ago in the 70s, so you know how long ago that was, a big music theater opened up here called Pine Knob, which is, an outdoor theater where they have all the big bands all summer long, all the big groups. And I remember it's probably maybe the late 70s, might have been the early 80s. One of the ushers there, one of the guys that seat you when you come in, he was a huge fan of Frank Sinatra's, and his family was Italian kid, I think he was, and very into Sinatra. And I remember him saying to me, "If you get backstage at all and you could get an autograph from Frank Sinatra for my mother, I would be over the moon." So I did end up going back to do an interview. And while I was there, I figured, what's the big deal? If I don't collect autographs, but if I ask for one for this guy's mother. And he said, sure, you know, dashed off an interview, whatever, a signature. And I gave it to the guy, and he was like completely over the moon excited. And he never forgot that. Now, the next summer when I went there, he was the head of the ushers. He always made sure that I got the best seats. He went, "Oh, the people in row B aren't coming, and I take those seats, whatever." And the third year, he was the assistant general manager.
Oh, wow.
which was very nice. So he gave me a free parking pass. I never had to pay for parking, whatever. The fourth year, he was the general manager of the theater.
Quite a
By
career
then,
trajectory for this young man, but okay.
by then, he said, "Well, we're going to start doing a program, a giveaway program to everybody that comes in. Do you want to do it?" I said, "I'll be happy to do it." Now, I'd never done anything like that, but I found a typesetter. I found, someone that does layout. I found a good printer. For 3 years, I did the program, 75,000 copies every week for 16 weeks. I made a complete fortune back in the 80s, bought myself a Corvette with cash, all because I got an autograph for this usher. So you never know.
Never
The
know.
the person that waits on you could end up owning the restaurant in a couple years. You have no idea. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember when I went to see the Beach Boys one year, they had an opening act, and I thought he was pretty good. And I did a beautiful write up on him, sent it to the record company. They gave it to him, and I got a note saying, "Wow, thank you for that. I'm just an opening act, but you gave me a pretty nice write up." And it was Billy Joel. And
My
another
superhero of musicians, but okay.
Okay. And another time I went to do a review of Bette Midler. She had this piano player opening up for her, and he accompanied her the whole show. And I said, "This guy is fantastic. I mean, what a talent." I gave him this beautiful write-up. It was Barry Manilow. So you just
Wow.
don't know who you're meeting, where they're going to end up. Just be nice to everybody. It doesn't hurt. It's free. It's easy.
It's easy. And my dad used to always say, be careful. The toes you step on today could be connected to the butt you need to kiss tomorrow. So be nice to everybody.
Exactly. That's exactly right. I love that saying because it's so true. And
Yeah.
they always say you meet the same people going up as you meet coming down. And it's just so true. We're all in this together. And as long as you keep that attitude, humility is really big,
Mhm.
gratitude is really big. Every day I wake up and I'm so grateful for everything that I have, my children, the man I'm with, my amazing group of friends, the work I do that I love. When you wake up with gratitude, every day is bound to be a good day. And humility is so important. Never think you're bigger or better than what you are.
Yeah.
It's just, we're just all people doing what we love, doing what we do. And if you keep that grounded attitude and
Mhm.
you never get too sold on your own self or think you're too big, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. So you gave, because you stated things that were 50 years ago, can we mention your age? Do you mind if I mention
Yeah,
your age?
yeah. I turned 78.
I know. And one, for those who are watching us on YouTube, they can see it. For those, the rest of the audience who's just listening on the podcast, go check her out on YouTube, because she's amazing at 78.
Thank you
The
so much.
so amazing. Um, we'll have to, get skincare
You know
tips
what?
and
I
things
think a
later.
lot of it, I've had people say to me, "What's your secret?" Or, "You're almost 80, but you don't look it. You certainly don't act it." And I think happiness shows, a great attitude, a big smile, and just that joy of being here is youthful.
I
You
love it.
see a lot of older people and they look beaten up, they look tired, they look like life hasn't been that great and they're
Yeah.
just kind of waiting for it to be over. Me, I'm like, I'm excited every day. And, I have so much to look forward to every day. So I guess part of it is attitude.
Hmm.
And plus, my mom had great skin, and that helps. I think that
Always genetics.
hereditarily,
You can't beat the genetics.
yeah, exactly. So I was
Thousand
really
percent.
blessed to get her skin.
So I remember on the day that I kind of in a nice legal way stalked you at the Hall of Fame. It was fight night. You had Mike Williams, who was fighting that night, won his fight by knockout.
Yes.
Congratulations for your fighter winning. Um, and I remember watching you walk around the arena and go back after the fight. You went back into the training room, and then came back out just happy as a clam, and again, and all of your fans and his fans were waiting outside. And I remember having that same thought, like, wow, she looks like she is on top of the world. At 78, she's going into the boxer's training room. She's celebrating the victory and the win. What do you do now? Is there something you're doing differently now, getting ready for fight night when you have a fighter in the ring? Is there something you do? Is it the same as what you did 20 years ago? How are you prepping for fight
46
night?
years. I've been in the business 46 years
I know, but
and
yeah.
I'm still just the same excited. That's my fighter. That's I'm connected to that guy. So if he gets hit, I feel, oh, that must have hurt. If he scores a punch, it's like, yeah, look at that. He really got a good one in. And then when he wins, oh my gosh, I'm just so happy for him because, it's a great feeling. Obviously, I've never been in the ring myself, but you could see how excited a fighter is when he wins a fight. And fortunately for me, I'm still as enthused as I was at the very beginning. I've not got at all jaded. I haven't got tired of that feeling, which is a beautiful thing because I don't ever want to be burnt out. I don't ever want to be at the point where it's like, yeah, another win. Oh, well, big deal. I want each win to be exciting and I want each fighter I work with to be my favorite at that moment. And I managed to do that. And so, I mean, how much more grateful could I be than to still have that same attitude?
Absolutely. And it's interesting. So clearly that is contagious with the fighters that you work with, in that we met Maikwan later that evening because
Mhm.
he only had a half a bruise because he
Right,
did
right.
so well in the fight. He went out after the fight. We caught up with him at one of the bars at Turning Stone, and we said, "Can we get a picture?" And so did a picture with him. And so we did, the happy fan picture, which was great. And then I said, wait, we're doing a boxing, we're with a boxer right after a match. So we need to look all hard and have a hard face. And he tried really hard. And I was like, really? That's your hard face? He goes, yeah, I don't know how to do that. I'm just happy all the time.
It's true. It's true. He's such a good person and he's a great dad. He's a cute little boy and he's just a super nice guy. He trains really hard. He's a great fighter. He's got an excellent trainer, Paul Seshot. And, he's happy. I'm happy. I want that in my life at this stage.
Mhm.
I want easy. I want happy. If you get the other, you deal with it, but you kind of go out of your way to keep things nice. And, when you're younger, you're more able to go through the battles. As you get older, you really want easy and peaceful and as little toxicity as possible. Even with the people that your friends and stuff, you kind of do a little screening from time to time. If there's someone around that's jealous, which is very common, especially for women, I feel like we're more competitive than the guys are. And
Sometimes,
as much
yeah.
as you want everyone to be happy for you, there's always a few that they just can't be because maybe they're not happy with themselves. And here you are appearing to have it all, and people just aren't comfortable with that, maybe.
Mhm.
So you just learn to kind of back away from certain people. You don't stop being friends with them, but you just back away a little bit and you stick with those who are happy for you, the ones that you can trust and that are proud of you. And it takes time to learn that because when you're younger, you want to be liked by everyone, you want to be included everywhere. And as you get older, you get a little more selective.
Totally true. And I think my year was when I turned 48. I started going, I don't know that I need to be in the room all the time or I need to be around people all the time. So
Right. The
100%
older you
true.
get, the less FOMO you have. FOMO being fear of missing
Missing
out.
out.
And
Absolutely.
the younger you are, the more you have of that. And I don't have any of it. Thank gosh. I have no fear. If I'm invited somewhere, I go and I have a great time. If I'm not invited, that's perfectly fine. I'll be invited somewhere else tomorrow. And you have to learn in life to take everything in stride. If you hear that someone said something about you that was negative or you don't like, so what? It doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. Exactly. It doesn't mean anything. That's their opinion. They're entitled to it. It shouldn't affect you at all. If you know who you are, somebody else's opinion doesn't mean anything. And that's how I've lived my life, especially being in the boxing business. People think whatever they're going to think. Oh, you're sleeping with the fighter, you're sleeping with the promoter, you bought off the judges, whatever they think. And you can't even give an ounce of thought to anybody else's opinion. This means nothing.
So if we could get more young people to actually believe that and feel good with that, social media would not have the power over young people the way that it does.
You're right about
Um,
that.
yeah. So
Yeah, I think
don't
people are
go.
sensitive, though. Don't you think people are sensitive? Their feelings get hurt. If someone says something online about you, or you look fat in that picture, or whatever they might say, people take it to heart. And
Mhm.
I know I'm not fat. Maybe a picture caught me at an angle where I look fat, but I know I'm not, so I don't really care. You have to know yourself and like yourself, and then it doesn't matter. It's hard to get there, I agree.
Yeah.
But once you get there, wow, it's a
So
great place.
So good. All right, don't go away. We have to take a very quick break. And when we come back, we'll find out Jackie's opinion on the movie that was made about her, Against the Ropes, starring Meg Ryan and Omar Epps. She's got a very interesting take on that. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to elevate your team's performance? Introducing Pro Tip Partners. With over 20 years of experience in enablement and learning and development, we've helped businesses like yours achieve amazing growth outcomes. Our focus areas include sales enablement and effectiveness, manager and leadership development, and our unique improv for business workshops, helping your teams enhance their confidence and ability to embrace the unknown. For your customer-facing teams, we provide professional communication training to make presentations engaging and interactive. At Pro Tip Partners, all our workshops are engaging, fun, and build on best practices for proven business growth. For companies needing a fractional executive to jumpstart new initiatives without increasing headcount, we're your go-to partner. Visit us at protippartners.com or call 301-4PRO-TIP for a free needs assessment. Pro Tip Partners, elevating performance, empowering growth.
Tired of your elevator pitch falling flat? Are you getting polite O's and how nice is instead of really? Tell me more? It's time to level up. Introducing Pro Tip Partners, proven formula for crafting elevator pitches that ignite curiosity and prompt follow-up questions. Whether you're in tech, finance, healthcare, or any industry, our quick online course will boost your confidence, help you tailor your message, and sharpen your value proposition. Ready to stand out? Visit protippartners.com to access the course. Follow us on social media and explore all of our resources. Don't settle for boring pitches. Be memorable. Be impactful. Be you.
Okay, so Jackie, when we were at the Hall of Fame and you were doing your acceptance speech to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, you made a statement that I even typed into my phone so I wouldn't forget it, that I thought it blew my mind. You said, as it relates to the casting, it was about as accurate as casting Jimmy Lennon Jr., famed announcer for boxing, short white guy, as Michael Moorer, who is taller, black guy, bald-headed boxer. Tell us spill the dirt. What was right? What
The
was
truth
wrong?
is,
Yeah.
when I sold this my story to Paramount, it was with a specific producer who I loved. He loved the idea of this married woman who, brought home all these fighters living in her house. Her kids are away at college. They come home. There's fighters living in their bedroom. The husband comes home. There's all these guys laying around the house, shooting baskets in the driveway. I mean, there was such a conflict going on in my life, and he loved it. He bought the story. Well, then he got moved to Fox instead of Paramount. He got a better job. So they assigned a different producer. I didn't like him right from the beginning. We just didn't see the same vision. I liked him as a person, but I didn't like his producing ideas. So he decided, well, I think that the character should be single. I said, single? Then what's the conflict? If she's single, You can have 100 guys living in her place. What's the difference? And she should have no children. I said, well, then if she doesn't have children that are competing with the fighters, where is that conflict? No, and I grew up in Detroit. Detroit's kind of like, a rough city. It's more blue collar, and it's the kind of city that you'd expect fighters to come from. He said, no, I think she's going to be from Cleveland. I went, I've never been to Cleveland. Where does that come from? So they changed so much of the story that it was, to me, unrecognizable. I mean, the character wasn't me at all, and yet they used my name, and it was inspired by me being a woman in a man's world. So what I did like about it was the fact that it showed that a woman can do whatever she sets her mind to do. It was inspirational and motivational. But as far as being factual, that's another story, because it wasn't very factual at all. But again, I lost control of it, and I just was stuck with whatever came out. And it wasn't the vision I had. But again, find the silver lining. It was inspirational to a lot of young women. I'm glad a lot of minorities that might not have gone into a field that was not their sort of, element. They said, if she could do it, I could do it. So the fact that people came up to me afterwards and said, that movie really inspired me, I love that. But as far as people thinking that that movie was in any way accurate, no.
Not even close.
And Meg Ryan and I are not really very similar as far as our personalities. She was like America's sweetheart, all these romantic comedies and that. And I'm not cute. That's not a word that I would ever think anyone would use to describe me, as because I'm more of a badass, kind of a tougher girl.
Boss.
And not that I'm not feminine and love to do my nails and my hair and makeup. I mean, I'm very feminine, but I have a tougher side to me. And I don't think that was portrayed as much as I would have liked. But again, it was a great experience. And it was an honor to think that anything I did in my life was inspirational enough to have a movie made about me, that, while I was still alive. So that was great. And it led to me being cast on The Contender, a TV show I did with Sylvester Stallone and Sugar Ray Leonard. And that was a beautiful experience working with those two. Sylvester Stallone is, in my book, top of the line, the smartest, the nicest, he's just the epitome of everything, the kindest to his fans, just a wonderful human being. So working with him, and, I'd known him prior to that, maybe 20 years before that. And so having the experience of working with someone that I was that fond of, and I knew Sugar Ray Leonard for that long as well. So I knew them both from the late 70s, early 80s. So it was just a joy to be with them every day. We had the same dressing room. So every day we'd report there, and in between takes, we'd sit and talk, tell boxing stories, movie stories, family stories. It was just, that was a wonderful experience. And those two men were just so generous and so kind.
As you're, one of the things, I'm going to go back to something you said earlier on the differences between you and Meg Ryan, and talking about the fact that you have a tougher side, a harder side. One thing for women, certainly women in business, they're always worried about being labeled the bitch if they have a tougher side. And I like to think that the tough side just means you're not going to get pushed around. It doesn't mean that you have to be mean and obnoxious. So what does the tough side for you look like for the young person trying to break through, for the mid-level person who is trying to hold and still climb, and then the person who's got there, or who has, gotten there, but she still looks around and sees, wow, it's just me, or it's just me and one other woman sitting in this room?
Well, to me, being called a bitch is kind of a badge of honor. If you think that, and it's always a man that will say that, what a bitch, because I might have beat him out on something, or I might have won a negotiation, or I stood up to somebody. Guys are always going to hit on women. It's just their nature, and we love that. I mean, being a woman is about getting compliments and having men find you attractive, but how you respond to that. Sometimes you just say no because you're not attracted to the person or it's the wrong time, whatever. And then they'll say, what a bitch, or whatever. I take that as a compliment because it means I stood my ground. It means I believed in what I was doing. It means that I wasn't stepped on, and it means that I didn't bow down to some guy. The fact that I could hold my own in any kind of a negotiation, in any kind of a situation. I've been in situations where that were a little bit on the dangerous side, and I stood my ground and I showed no fear. And I have a tough side that I think we all have. You just have to dig deep sometimes to get it, because before you get to that tough side, there's that layer of fear that's covering that toughness. Oh my gosh, I'm in a bad situation. I'm afraid. But if you can suppress the fear and let that confidence and that strength come up, it will overpower the fear, and then you can conquer. And I try to conquer every situation that I'm in because that shows strength, it shows force, shows fortitude, it shows, that stick-to-itiveness that I think is important to all of us. If you have a plan, stick to it. Don't let somebody, wear you down. And sometimes when you stick to your plan, when someone's trying to talk you out of it, then you're the bitch because you didn't give in to their way of thinking. You can't do that, in any position in life, whether it's in the corporate world, in a relationship, whatever. You have to stick to your guns, stand up for yourself, believe in yourself, and don't give in to that. And if that means being called a bitch, so be it.
I love it. Taking the sting out of the word and turning it around to be more of the badge of honor. I love that so much. Did I hear correctly during Hall of Fame weekend? Is there a documentary now so they can actually tell the truth? Are you having a documentary now made for you or on you,
Yes.
about you?
Yes, for the last couple of years, a group of filmmakers have been following me around to all different situations, at fights, at home, with my family, with my friends, just watching me be me, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the culmination of it is the Hall of Fame weekend. The weekend prior to that, I was down in Atlanta. I was given an honorary doctorate in philosophy, and that was really a beautiful tribute. And I got to wear a cap and gown and, be part of this whole graduation and then get the doctorate. And that was just, a wonderful honor. And I think that all these things that are being documented in this documentary are going to show the battle of just an average person with nothing extraordinary about them, who was able to live a very extraordinary life. And you don't have to be born particularly rich, beautiful, gifted, or anything to have a fabulous journey. We have that control to make our journey as exciting and wonderful as we choose to. And I have always wanted my time on this planet to be the best it could be. So every day, like I said, I wake up saying, who am I going to meet today? Where am I going to go today? What am I going to accomplish today? And I don't waste a single day. And I don't even waste even an hour out of every day making that day memorable, because I can't have it back. So once this day's over, whatever I did and whoever I met, whoever I spoke to, that's already in the history books. Tomorrow's a brand new day. So attitude's very important. Like I said before, how we look at ourselves, how we look at our environment, the people that we interact with every day. We choose how we're going to be. I've just chose to have a very extraordinary life because I seized every opportunity. If I walked by an open door, I walk right in. And sometimes opportunity knocks and we don't answer the door because we're doing something else or we're not in the mood or whatever. If I hear just a faint little knock, I'm going to open that door and say, what is in there? I want to find out. I think that's a big part of being successful, is being open to all these opportunities and being willing to walk down a path that maybe no one's walked down that path. You don't know what's down there. Well, go find out.
I love that. There's so many things I'm going to go find out now. Again, you are so good for helping somebody just push past their internal blockages because it's kind of like, yeah, you're right. What do I have to lose? And yeah, I'm going to go look here and try there and try this. And where the worst that can happen, they say no. The worst that can happen, I fall on my face, but then I get back up again. I mean, that is the life of the boxer. And then therein the boxing manager. Um, what is, if we were to nugget, and maybe that is the nugget, but if we were to take all of your wisdom, all of your experiences, everything that you have, and we were to pull it into one pro tip that you would give to our listeners on finding their road to greatness, what would be the thing you would nugget? This is what's going to get you started, or this is what's going to get you to the next level.
Again, it goes back to that self-confidence, that belief in yourself, to recognize your own uniqueness. It took me a while to realize that when I was a kid, that I didn't have to be like all the other kids to be special. If they were all doing dance recitals and they were all the little girls were wearing tutus and doing it, and I wasn't one of those girls, didn't mean anything. I could still be someone special. Find your gift. We all have one. I have a girlfriend that is the most amazing artist. She can draw like nobody can. She can take anything, give her a blank canvas, and she's going to create something you're going to want to hang on your wall. It's just her gift. She's just so gifted. Other people can sing like, Lady Gaga. They're just so gifted. Find your gift, whatever it is, and build on that. Because if we try things that we're not going to be good at, we're going to fail. If I tried to be a skier or a tennis player or whatever, I would fail. I'm just not that coordinated. So find what you're good at and build on that. And you're going to be successful because you picked your path and that was the right path for you. Don't go down a road that isn't meant for you. And I see so many people trying to be something that they're not. Find who you are, find what you're good at, and then build on that. That's the most important. Number two, attitude. Like I said, just have a great attitude. If something doesn't go right or someone doesn't like you or whatever, it doesn't matter. For every person that doesn't like you, there's going to be 10 that do. And focus on the people that like you, not the one person that might not agree with you. That's okay. The things we shouldn't focus on, number one, political opinions. If you're left, be left. If you're right, be right. Don't try to change anyone's mind. Follow your own, thoughts and what you believe in, and don't worry about the next guy. Number two, who someone prays to. If you're Christian, Jewish, a Buddhist, a Muslim, it doesn't matter. As long as you believe in a higher power and you walk a righteous walk, it doesn't matter which God you pray to. And we shouldn't even think about that when you pick a friend. And the other thing is sexuality. I don't care if someone sleeps with their own sex. If you're happy, I'm happy, because it doesn't matter to me what you do in the privacy of your own house. Don't be judgmental. None of us have the right to judge each other. None of us are above anybody else. Nobody was given that, judge and jury position where we can pass judgment on each other. Mind your business, stay in your lane, and you're going to be fine. I've learned that and I practice that every day. And I think those are things that are very helpful. And again, an upbeat attitude, a smile, that positivity that you project. If you're an open, happy person, people will gravitate to you. If you're a kind of a complaining, negative person, people will shy away from that. No one wants to be around a downer. So your attitude and what you bring to the world is what you're going to attract. And you can manifest pretty much what's going to happen in your life by how you project yourself. I put out positivity and I usually will get back positivity. And I see people who project nothing but negativity and then they wonder why nothing good happens to them. You are a mirror and you put out what you get back a lot. So practice being happy, and it's really contagious.
I love that so much.
Just try deep breathing, get out and walk every day, find something great, read a good book, do something. Happiness is an inside job.
Mm-hmm.
You can't expect someone else to make you happy. you can't expect that you're going to meet some guy and he's going to make you happy. No, happiness that's inside. Only you can produce those endorphins that make you happy. You have to work at it.
Mhm.
But to sit home and be depressed, what a waste of a day. I'm lucky because I'm not wired that way. I don't suffer from that kind of depression or anything. But if I did, I'd battle it like you have no idea, because I don't want to give in to that. So I hope that the people out there that listen to you will get something positive out of this.
Yes.
And then I know
As we wrap up today, I'll ask you the same question I ask all of my guests. Is there anything I forgot to ask you or didn't ask you and should have?
not at all, except one of the things that people find interesting is that, well, I was married for 30 years to my first husband, my only husband, the one I have my children with, and we're still really great friends. And we had 30 really good years together. And when it ended, like some marriages do, it was over, but it didn't stop us from remaining friends. We have children and grandchildren together. And I think that's important. And my second relationship, which is now 24 years long, so that's 54 years total with two different guys.
Mhm.
And my first husband was 8 years older than me. And this one that I'm with, who's not a husband because I'm not married again, but we live together, and he's 15 years younger.
So you're
So
hanging out with like Madonna and Cher on this
You got
younger
it, girl.
cougar style.
That's exactly right. And you know what? I found somebody who matches, you want someone that matches your energy.
Yes.
And I found that in this particular case, for me, younger works. And, a lot of people find that interesting that I would be with someone, so that's closer to my son's age than my age. But hey, it works. And that's all that's important. So don't rule anybody out as a lover, as a friend, as a business associate, as anything. Look at the person, not their age, not their religion, not anything else. Just look at the person.
Absolutely. This is so great. And I love to just go out and go get them and just live your best life, and who
Oh,
cares?
yeah.
And I've just started saying, hey, look, if you don't pay a bill in my house, you don't get a vote. So it's
Remember that. If your opinion doesn't pay my electric bill,
yeah.
it doesn't exist in my life.
So very, very true. Jackie Callan, I have to say, I've so enjoyed this conversation. It
Me
is so
too.
motivational, uplifting. When you have a date for your documentary release, please let me know. I will
I
publicize that
sure
back
will.
out. And then I will also make sure that maybe we can keep in touch, because
I'd
the
love
energy
that.
you
Let's
give off
do
is
that.
awesome.
And if anybody wants to get a hold of me personally, they can friend me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, X. I'm really accessible. I love meeting new people. A lot of times people just want a bit of advice on a project that they're about to, attempt to do, and they just are a little afraid. They just need some encouragement. I'll give you all the encouragement you need. So people, feel free to reach out. I'm very happy to make your acquaintance and talk to you.
So wonderful to have you. This has been a super treat for me. Thank you very much, Jackie Callan.
My
And
pleasure.
as Jackie said, you are the controller of your own destiny. So everyone go out there and have a great day on purpose.
Yes, ma'am.
This has been The Road to Greatness. Remember to subscribe, follow, and share, and I'll see you next time.